Hi, I'm Lisa Canning from lisacanning.ca, and this video is all about how to plan your ideal week. I'm trying something a little new on the YouTube channel where I'm inviting you into different parts of my house. Today we're in my home office. Take a seat with me and we're going to talk about this topic of ideal week. So why do I think this ideal week concept is important? I think this is important for anybody who desires to spend their time wisely. So whether you are a mom who is working outside of the home full time, if you are a mom who has a part-time business that you run from your home, if you are spending all of your hours raising your kids, I think the strategies that I'm going to share will be helpful because evidence has shown me that so many moms desire more time. I'm currently writing a book called The Possibility Mom, and as a part of the research of writing the book, I've been doing a lot of interviews and collecting a lot of data. And what experience has shown me is that moms are tired and moms want more time in so many areas, more time for themselves, more time for their spouses, more time to spend with their children, more time to work. It's kind of a very challenging cycle is what I have come to observe, that so many moms desire more time. So I argue that planning an ideal week can really alleviate a lot of stress, a lot of tension, and help in making sure that you're getting the important things done and the urgent things aren't filling up your time. Okay, so how do you plan an ideal week? First, I want to share that I have been running my interior design business since 2007. So that's 10 years, this 2017. I have had 6 children in basically 8 years. I would not call myself a master at time management, but I would call myself literally an expert at failing at it. Because of the demands on my time with so many children, I've got 3 kids in school that comes with really interesting demands, and then I've got 3 little kids at home, including a newborn who I breastfeed basically exclusively. So, you know, there's lots of people want mommy. So between that and my business and the other things that I do in my life, like volunteering and spending time with my friends and my husband and whatnot, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on. So I have failed at it pretty epically, but in my failings is where I'd really like to share, because what I think the most common theme of the times that I have quote unquote failed, the times that I've been the most stressed and the most overworked and felt the most pulled in multiple directions, was because I was answering to the needs of everyone else and urgent needs from other people that I was basically putting ahead of my own priorities. So let's say I had my own priorities, like getting my own work done or getting, goals, that were important to me, like spending time with my spouse, spending time with my kids. But then a phone call with somebody asking me to, take on a project, or a phone call or a friend asking me to spend time doing this activity and what have you. Because I have very high empathy, because I like to please people, I would say yes. And the challenge is you cannot say yes forever. I failed pretty miserably many times. So much of what I'm saying is coming out of just falling flat on my face in regards to time management. But when I developed an ideal week, like a strategy for keeping a calendar and a schedule that would help me to stay true to my priorities and true to my tasks, it really helped to move the needle in not only getting my own goals and priorities accomplished, but lessening the stress, lessening the feeling pulled in a million directions, and my general peace. What does an ideal week look like? Essentially all it is your calendar. So literally planning every minute of the day, when you're awake to when you go to bed. It sounds crazy. It sounds a little rigid and overwhelming. And at first, I think it is. But really, it's flexibility within rigidity. It's simply just putting placeholders in your calendar when you want to get the important things done, so that you know that there's been space allocated to get those important things done. Does that make sense? So, for example, if it's a really big priority for you to work out, but you're kind of just thinking about working out, and you just continue to think about it, and maybe you go on Pinterest to shop for cute workout outfits, well, that's not actually working out. However, if you schedule literally like an appointment you would with somebody else, like an appointment you would if you had, a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, if somebody asked you to go to coffee, but you schedule that appointment in your calendar and it's put down there, I argue that you'll be more inclined to actually do it and work towards that goal of working out. So the first step in developing an ideal week is to literally write down everything you do in your life currently. This should take you anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how involved your life is. And I want you to write down literally everything. So for work, what are the things that you do? You might do emails, you might do meetings, you might have sales calls, you might have appointments with, vendors, you might have to write copy, etc., etc. Just literally write all of that stuff down. Then think about your role as a mom or your personal life. So you pick up the kids, you make lunches, you sign permission slips, you volunteer on school trips, etc., etc., etc. Think about your personal life, like regarding your personal health. You have to take yourself to the doctor. You might need to exercise. If you are a spiritual person, what does that look like in terms of going to church or expressing your own spirituality? Getting together with friends, investing in your marriage, that kind of thing. Write all that stuff down. Okay, so right. I have found it helpful in the past to do this with Post-it notes. So I've posted literally a million Post-it notes on my wall. But then I did it again where I literally put them into single cells in an Excel document. Okay, so once you have come up with this big fat long list, the goal is to cull this down. All right. Again, we're trying to save some time. We're trying to be really strategic so that we can spend time in the things that matter most to us. We're going to cut this list down. So I want you to group things based on automate, delegate, delete. These are not novel concepts. I've heard them from many other productivity experts, but they are, recycled quite often because they have a lot of merit. So let's dive into these a little bit. Automate. So automate is using electronics to our advantage. So for example, in my email, I have quite a few things. I use a program called Infusionsoft that automates quite a few responses so that I'm not answering the exact same email over and over and over. And it basically does it automated, like it's totally automated. One of the ways that I have automated grocery shopping is through online pickup for groceries. So Superstore and Walmart in Canada both have this service, and I've used both of them and I love them. So that's the first thing, is to automate. Next thing is to delegate. What on this list does not need to be on your plate? For example, I used to do, between my husband and I, we would do the laundry. And then we just found that, especially with the number of children that we have and our various commitments, it was just becoming too much and becoming a source of constant stress and constant, to be honest, annoyance. So we have since then delegated that to a wonderful person who comes over and helps us with the house. She also helps us with cleaning. And it was just that one was a huge lift and really beneficial for our marriage, to be honest. It allows me then to do other things that I think are very important, like spending time with my children, like helping them with their homework. I found as the years have gotten older, they need more one-on-one attention. So offloading that task has allowed me then to be freed up for other things that I argue are, have more impact and where only I can make that impact. And this is the whole spirit of the ideal week. It's trying to keep us in the spots that are ideally us. What is something no one else can do? Or what are the things on our list of things to do that we are the best at and we want to stay there? And then the third thing to do with that long list is delete. So what can we look at on this long list that you just don't need to do anymore? I think if we want to complete goals that are unique to us, things that only we can do. We have to get strategic about the way we spend our time, and we simply just cannot fill our schedules. If we do, we burn out. It is simply that simple. In writing my book right now, I've been mining my own history. I've been sort of mining the history of Lisa Canning Interiors and what it's like to raise 6 kids over the last 8 years and build a business at the same time. And I'm recalling a ton of stories where I was super, super, super burned out and where it was not fun. And on the outside, it might have looked awesome, but on the inside, I was pretty darn tired and I was ready to just give up everything. So we don't want to get there. We don't want to get to the spot of wanting to give up everything. And I think if we can get really good at setting boundaries and saying no to things, that it puts us in a much healthier place, with ourselves and with our families. So I encourage you to take a look at that long list and see what in that list could just completely be deleted. Okay, so now that you've done that, you're left with a list of activities. And what I want you to do is now group them into similar themes. So for example, there might be things that you need to do at the computer, like emails, like creating content, like writing a blog post, for example, working on, reports, or just things where you need focus, attention on the computer. Perhaps you have activities that you can do on your phone, where you're obviously speaking on the phone, but maybe it's things that you can do literally on your phone that could be done very quickly. Maybe there's short little things like checking into social media, or booking appointments, for example, through an app on your phone. So group all of those things together. Maybe there's times when you have to go and see people, whether it's on, a sales call, or a play date, or literally anything where you're out and about seeing people, where you want to look nice, where you want to dress up. You schedule all those kinds of things together. So now bulk those things. And now we're going to move on to actually plotting them in our calendars.
So this is, for those of you who might not be familiar, this is Google Calendar. There are many other kinds of calendar software available. This is just the one I happen to use. This one is free. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to go really fast. I won't spend too much time, but basically to create a thing, like a field, you just double click. You might call this prayer time. You enter the time here, 6 to 7, blah, blah, blah. So I did a couple things. I'll do work first. So I'm going to turn on work. So from 6:30 to 7:15, just for example, I answer emails. And then this is my first big block of work I do during regular week. So from 10 to 12:30, weekly emails. So this is like computer related work. So I put that all in one big chunk of time right there. And then again, work related the next day, it follows again, 6:30 to 7:15, I'm writing emails and writing content. And then I do a bulk of, again, like very focused computer centric content creation type. So I like to do that all at the same time, because I kind of need to be focused when I'm doing it. So another block of time in the afternoon there. I have a block of time when I do some email and marketing. And then I forgot this part. I check in on my emails in the evening as well. So I put the work in one color just because I'm a very visual person, and for me it helps me see the different kinds of activities. Okay, next is my personal time. Show you a couple examples. Like from 9 to 12:30 on Tuesdays is typically when I do things like family errands. So that's when I would go get an oil change for my car. That's when I would go pick up groceries. This is a block of time where I would schedule kids' doctor's appointments. So basically that's like dedicated time on a recurring appointment.
As you can see in my calendar, I literally try to schedule everything. There's a time for me to create YouTube content. There's a time for me to create emails. There's a time for me to take my kids to a Tiny Tot program at my community center, and I literally schedule my flex time and time to lie down. If you're looking for me, On Thursdays between 4 o'clock and 5:30, I have literally scheduled lie down. And the reason why I'm able to do that during that time is because I have childcare. So it's not really that difficult for me to literally schedule that time of lying down. So if you're looking for me on Thursdays, I'm lying down. But I had just found that my life was getting so crazy and so intense and so busy that without actually scheduling it, it was other people's demands were, becoming more important. So you might be thinking, Lisa, this is insane. You're scheduling everything. You're scheduling when you're lying down. There's no spontaneity in your schedule. I would argue, absolutely not. You can have a spontaneity, but it's almost like spontaneity is scheduled. And I realize that sounds like a complete contradiction. But what I mean is, so let's just say you have this bulk of time when you're supposed to do content creation, and some kind of opportunity comes up that you realize is strategic for whatever reason. Maybe there's somebody visiting from out of town, or you won a contest and you're able to go to a concert, what have you. So in your schedule, as you can see in mine, I have scheduled flex time. I've scheduled get together with friends. I've scheduled sort of literally like miscellaneous time blocks. So I'm going to take that block of time that I was supposed to write emails, and I'm going to move it over to where the flex time was scheduled. And then the flex time, I'm moving over to that period where you won the contest or whatever. Again, it's not meant to be rigid where you're like, oh my gosh, it's 3:05. I must now be moving on to whatever. There's intention in blocks of time on your calendar for the things that matter most to you. This is going to look different for everybody, but they're the things that matter most to you. And that way, when requests come in to meet for somebody with coffee, when the requests come in to work on a special project, when the requests come in to, volunteer your time and head up a committee at your child's school, you can look at your calendar and say, sure, I would love to meet for coffee with you. How is Friday at 4 p.m.? Because that's the time I typically meet for people with coffee, rather than, Monday to Friday, literally scheduling it willy-nilly. So, I can't stress enough how much, doing this over the last 10 years, raising 6 kids, for 8 of them, how much I have epically failed at time management. Epically failed. It was only when I started reclaiming my time and sort of declaring, agency and, control of my own schedule, and sort of stopped putting other people's schedules and other people's urgent matters ahead of my own priorities, did I see a significant shift in my stress, in my ability to, be a great wife to my husband, and my ability to be a calm and not snappy mom to my kids. But let's keep it real, I snap all the time. But I've noticed that the less I feel pulled in a million directions, the less I feel like I've let myself down because I haven't been able to get the things done that I wanted to get done, the more peace I feel, the happier my family is, and the greater my health and my stress level is overall. And I really do believe it's all just about intentionality and scheduling the things that are important to us. If you like this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. I would love leave me a comment below and let me know, what are you going to delegate, what are you going to automate, and what are you going to delete. And please subscribe to my channel so you can know when new videos are posted. So if this video was helpful to you, I would love for you to head over to the blog, lisacanning.ca. I'll put the link below this video, because I've created a fun free download where you can fill in your ideal week. And I really hope it's helpful to you in beginning to block off time and make sure that you're spending your time in the areas that you want to. Cheers to designing your beautiful life.